Why could I not utilize the same methods, crossing the same well-defined, universal stages of internalization? Some hesychasts use only Kyrie eleison. Eleison can be translated as, be your embrace upon me. Turn yourself to me. We can appreciate how the sound eleison seems to melt with the sound of the Om. What is important to understand is that the chosen prayer should be able to stimulate your devotion, to unify all your being around the practice. In that book The Way of a Pilgrim, I found this sentence: like a person enjoying the beauty of a chilly winter near the fireside, contemplating either the sad or the joyous spectacle of life, such as a devotee having found the infinity of the skies residing in their heart. The continuous prayer is truly a marvelous gem whose glitter warms up life. Its magic spreads into each facet of life, like walking out of a dark room into fresh air and sunlight. This phrase stirred my enthusiasm. It painted clearly the state I wanted to achieve. I tried to imitate Swami Ramdas' behavior, adding the counsels given in the book, The Way of a Pilgrim. I spent 3 beautiful days. I remember moments of ecstasy that filled me with delight. Tears came down while I was sitting on a bench in a public park whispering my prayer. Yet I stopped because the effort was really too great. Having aimed too high, continue steadfastly in prayer, I ran the risk of developing an aversion to this practice, losing it for a long time. It was necessary to use some wisdom and recharge myself with inspiration. The writings of Mia, the mother, and Satprem came in my life at the proper time. 2. Inspiration from the works of the mother and Satprem. The mother was a disciple of Sri Aurobindo and, after his death in 1951, continued his research. From 1958 until her death in 1973, the mother recounted her extraordinary exploration to her disciple Satprem. Their talks are written out in Mother's Agenda, 6,000 pages in 13 volumes. I studied not only her agenda but also Sri Aurobindo or the Adventure of Consciousness, Mother or the Divine Materialism, both written by Satprem. It was a revelation. Let me share my experience with the mother. I want to communicate how it happened that the mother aroused my enthusiasm, helping me to make japa a constant fact in my life. I will also try to communicate how reading Mother and Satprem exercised an action in my life like the one that in India is called initiation or finding one's the Guru. Her thought had nothing to do with philosophy. It was new, something never heard before. It was, I would say, debunking. The mother reasoned like a Westerner and treated the themes of India's spirituality with a Western language which was both lyrical and rational, and at the highest degree of excellence. The mother gave voice to my own innermost convictions in an euphorically vivid way. Sometimes I had the impression to discover in her writings a sort of revolution, a reversal of values. Chapter 3. Breathlessness. The idea of japa enters my life. With a desperate need of peace and tranquility, I chose to stick to the simplest routine of Kriya and to live in a more introverted way. I stubbornly grabbed the well-known instruction to maintain resolutely, during the day, a smooth attitude toward both pleasant and unpleasant events, while sincerely feeling like a detached witness. Sustained by the enthusiasm for this new trick, described in such an alluring way in almost all the books dealing with Oriental meditative practices, I succeeded in attaining an almost ideal state, but, after some days, I felt under stress as if all was a pretense, an illusion. It was at this time that I came across a book about the life and experiences of Swami Ramdas, 1884 to 1963. The Indian saint who moved far and wide all over India unceasingly repeating the mantra Shri Ram Jai Ram Om. Discovering the simplicity of his life and the greatness of his experience was very inspiring. His photo and the childlike simplicity of his smile kindled my devotion and inspired me. He was born in 1884 in Hosdurg, Kerala, India, and named Vittal Rao. He lived a normal life and experienced the typical difficulties of a householder's life. Often his toughs dwelt on the meaning of life and felt the desire to pursue the spiritual path. His father initiated him into the Ram Mantra, assuring him that by repeating it unceasingly he would, in due time, achieve the perfect peace he desired. It was then that Ramdas renounced the householder life and went forth in quest of God as a mendicant sadhu. The mantra, Om Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram, was ever on his lips. Besides the practice of japa, he adopted the discipline of looking upon all other people as forms of Ram, God, and of accepting every happening as coming from the will of God. In a short time the mantra disappeared from his lips and entered his heart. He perceived clearly the spiritual eye in the middle point between his eyebrows. A stage was soon reached when this dwelling in the light of the spirit became a permanent experience. Swami Ramdas attained Mahasamadhi in 1963. His teaching was extremely simple. Repeat the one name, Ram, at all times of the day and at nights when you are awake. You may be sure that you will not feel lonely or miserable as long as you are uttering that glorious name. Where this name is sounded or meditated upon, there resides no sorrow, no anxiety, nay, not even death. Utter Rama's name anytime, amid all of life's distractions. Whenever there is a momentary return of your consciousness to self-awareness. When this happens, feel the ensuing joy and concentrate on it as long as possible. Perfect your surrender to God when facing every event. At night, when free from worldly duties, devote yourself to intense practice of japa. Almost at the same time I read the masterpiece of the spiritual movement Hesychasm. This is a Christian Orthodox movement considering inner peace a basic necessity for pursuing the spiritual path. In the Gospel of Matthew it is said, "Go into your closet to pray." Hesychasts take very seriously this injunction act and make daily a very strong effort to still their body, mind and heart in order to be fully open to the presence of the divine. Their way of praying helps them to reject any useless thought. Again the reflection about the art of japa, devotional prayer, got my attention. Mount Athos is the place where some hesychasts developed the art of continuous prayer for achieving inner peace. They utilized the Jesus prayer. Kyrie Yesu Christ, ye to Dieu, elison me ton amratlo, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. They repeat it unceasingly during the day, guiding it into the space of the heart and recite it in synchrony with the heartbeats. The most appealing concepts that created a real positive shock in me were two. They saved me from a stalemate. First, what impressed me at first glance was her comment to Sri Aurobindo's aphorism number 70, "Examine thyself without pity. Then thou wilt be more charitable and pitying to others." Annotating it, she wrote, "The need to be virtuous is the great obstacle to true self-giving. This is the origin of falsehood and even more the very source of hypocrisy / the refusal to accept to take upon oneself one's own share of the burden of difficulties. Do not try to appear virtuous. See how much you are united, one with everything, that is anti-divine. Take your share of the burden, accept yourselves to be impure and false, and in that way you will be able to take up the shadow and offer it. And in so far as you are capable of taking it and offering it, then things will change. Do not try to be among the pure. Accept to be with those who are in darkness and give it all with total love." Naturally, by daring to say that morality is the great obstacle on the spiritual path, she simply stressed the value of not trying at any cost to appear pure in other people's eyes, but instead behaving according to the truth of one's being. She believed that each person should acknowledge their dark side, accept the fact that in the depths of their being there stirs the same substance that in some had developed into a way of living shunned by society. Second, I was very impressed with how she dealt with the theme of japa. To start the repetition of a mantra was for her the most simple and natural spiritual action. First of all, let us remark that there was no solemn initiation into it. She recounted how during the screening of a film in Sri Aurobindo's ashram she heard a devotional chant, Om Namo Bhagavate Narayanaye. She was attracted only by the first part, Om Namo Bhagavate, and she wondered what would happen if she repeated that mantra during her daily meditation. She did, and the result was extraordinary. She reported that the mantra, coagulates something, all the cellular life becomes one solid, compact mass, in a tremendous concentration, with a single vibration. At the place of all the usual vibrations of the body, there is now only one single vibration. It becomes as hard as a diamond, a single massive concentration, as if all the cells of the body had. I became stiff from it. I was so stiff that I was one single mass. This quotation is drawn from Mother's Agenda. During the day the mantra became a sweet presence. On the days when I have no special preoccupations or difficulties, days I could call normal, when I am normal, everything I do, all the movements of this body, all the words I utter, all the gestures I make, are accompanied and upheld by or lined, as it were, with this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate. Om Namo Bhagavate, all the time, all the time, all the time. In many passages of Mother's Agenda, Satprem and Mir discuss how the mantra calms the persons in surrounding areas by creating an atmosphere of such an intensity that disharmonies cease to exist. Furthermore, mantra has a great action. It can prevent an accident. It simply springs forth in a flash. All of a sudden, it has to spring up without thinking, without calling. It should issue forth from the being spontaneously, like a reflex, exactly like a reflex. The mother was able to notice the difference between those who have a mantra and those who don't. With those who have no mantra, even if they have a strong habit of meditation or concentration, something around them remains hazy and vague, whereas japa imparts to those who practice it with a kind of precision, a kind of solidity, an armature. They become galvanized, as it were.